Welcome to Spill the Real podcast, the Margarita Book Club for women in their 40s navigating midlife, motherhood, marriage, and that nagging feeling that you should have life figured out by now but don't.
We're two 40-something moms of teenagers, married for years, probably in perimenopause, and still trying to lose the same 20 pounds we've been fighting for a decade.
This isn't about having all of the answers. It's about spilling the real conversations as we wish someone had with us sooner.
So grab a margarita or a coffee and let's spill the real.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Spill the Real. Today's title is Motherhood When the Kids Don't Need You Like They Used to. So we're going to be talking a lot about motherhood.
Yes.
And raising teenage boys. Or not boys. Well, you have a girl. I'm raising boys. You're raising one
girl.
of each.
Yeah, one of each.
So before we dive in, you know, we love to kind of do a real talk question.
Yes.
So I'm going to bounce it to you first. What's something about parenting teens no one prepared you for?
Okay. So I'm a little serious here, but and I thought about this because I was like, when I would speak to my mother, did I being called bruh? Bruh. Like I say something or I say no to something. Bruh. Both of them. What I thought I was like, is there something did we say something to our parent? Did we call
I never called my mom
I never
anything
was
but
like
mom
dude
and dad.
or anything. I mean,
no. The only thing I remember saying, not calling them a name, but like I remember when like what's up was like what's up or what's up?
Yeah.
What's up?
What's up?
I remember doing that, but that's not really calling them a
Right.
name. But I remember my mom be like, do it to me one more time.
One more time. One more time.
See what happens.
So yeah. But that's just my funny one.
Bruh.
So the worries, and we'll get into that a little bit more. And how quickly I feel like people did try to warn us a little bit. So this may be like not accurate, but how quickly you really move from one stage to another.
Oh, yeah.
And like how quickly you go from 13 to 16, like, you know,
I feel like that gap, like from infant to like 3-year-old, seems like it drags on. You know, like from infant to toddler, maybe like preschool, like before they go to school. That seems a phase of life that seems never ending.
Yes.
But once they hit like middle school, it's like it flies by.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're barely teenagers, and then the next thing you know, they're closer to 20.
I know.
Oh. That's the first time I've said that out loud. Okay. What do you have?
So mine is like probably more so because of the season I'm in right now in real time, but is the isolation that comes with parenting because we're kind of, and I know that this is really, you know, leaning into the title today, but I feel more isolated. Maybe it's because I have boys and a girl really, I sometimes when I see moms that have girls, they need their mama in a different way.
Yeah.
And although both of my boys are boy moms for sure, like they want me more than they want Justin, but like they're just on their own. They want to think I'm stupid, but two, I just feel isolated. Like they don't need me. So I wasn't prepared for this season where I'm going to be watching TV, just me and my husband and not my kids. I'm not going to have cartoons on, or if I have to watch one more YouTube reel on my TV, I can't tolerate that. So I'd rather be isolated, I guess.
I know.
But yeah, I think it's just the season of like, you don't need me. I don't know when to step in. I don't know when to take a bow back. Yeah, so I just feel really isolated. Like, what's my mom role besides transportation?
Right.
And making sure I teach you valuable lessons that you don't want to hear and you're going to eye roll. Like, what is my role besides that?
So I feel like Riley being first, it's a little deceiving because she is a girl, and I mean, girls are
Mm.
I mean, some people say girls are hard, but she's been really easy. She was a hard um like she was a hard like two,
Toddler.
3 year old.
Mm.
Yeah. Up until like going into kindergarten. Like there was about a 3 year span there that I was like, yeah, she was hard. She was strong willed. She was a strong willed child. Um, and I used to always laugh and say, okay, I'm gonna like ship them off when they get to teen years, and then I'll get them back later. Like, but uh, it's I don't. She's easy. Knock on wood. I don't want to say that too loud, but she's been easy, and um, I can feel like that friendship, like kind of bond forming
Mhm.
with me and her. Not saying I'm trying to like be your bestie or anything
Right,
like
right.
that, but um, for later down the
That's
road,
important.
So eh, the second one, gonna be a little different. Be a little
I think
different.
we have um so my second one is Jax's age.
Hmm.
And he is like my go-getter. I know I kind of can see his where he's gonna go. He's very similar to me in my personality
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
those type of things. My oldest is very similar to my husband, and so I'm really like I laugh. We laugh about it a lot. I'm like, you're gonna probably live in the basement the rest of your life. Like, I just can't. But this is the other thing about this stage that I wasn't prepared for a little bit, and I what that isolation. But I feel like I don't know him. Like they're going through this weird phase right now. Like they're trying to when he like makes a joke, I'm like, okay, that was funny. Like when did you become funny?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, do I know
Right.
you? Are you my kid? And so that's it's like a surprising fun. But then I also like, do I really know you? Do I know what you like? Do you like, yes, I know you like fishing, but I don't know. Sometimes I wish that we would have more, maybe it's a boy, but like more intimate conversations that go
Yeah.
deeper to really know him. And I feel like I don't know him.
Yeah.
Does that make
Because they
sense?
don't want to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get
So
that.
let's transition into just raising as I'm sure if you're over 40, you're probably in the same season as we are of kind of those teenage years and things like that. And maybe if you're listening and you're preparing for those teenage years.
Well, yeah, we got some things. We
Ye-
got some things to tell you.
yes. So what would be some things that you're trying to maybe navigate in real time as a parent of raising a teenager? Like what are some things that you're working through or doing?
So I think a lot about in 2 years, my oldest is they're gonna be going off to college,
Mhm.
and um, that fine line of you've got to figure it out,
Mm,
um, or I could just do it for you.
mm, yeah.
So um, there are like a lot of life lessons that I'm like, I you need to know how to do this. And I feel like we're doing a pretty good job of helping them be independent. Um, because that's what I worry about. Like you're gonna get to college or have an apartment and you're not gonna know how to do anything like cook or anything like that. But I mean, like our kids do their own laundry. They've done their own laundry for a long time. And so for the most I mean, and I'm talking dump it all
Mm-mm.
into the washer and throw in and then throw it all in
Uh,
the dryer. Now, she's got long legs like me and she's tall, so pants are an issue. And so she is getting to where she'll like take it out of the before
the
and not dry. She
dryer,
was like, "Do
yes.
not dry that. Do not dry that." So, and then just things like she'll go to the grocery store for me. Like not to get my full grocery, but like I need a few things and she'll run to Aldi's or whatever. And so just her knowing like where things are and like what things are. Like I can remember what it was recently where I needed something and she was like, "What even is that?" I was like, "Well, you're gonna have to figure it out. Like,
Right.
I mean, here's where you will find it. So look, read, find it, like figure it out." So it's that fine line of like am I really preparing you
Mm,
for life? Like even with money, and like taking care of your vehicle and things like that. Like, am I really like, so we're really trying hard. I'm really trying to be conscious of that. You know, she's a really strong foundation in Jesus Christ. So I feel like we've done pretty well. I'm not tooting my own horn or anything. That Neil has really done a great job of like making sure they're reading her
Instilling the
Bible and
faith
doing
and
and so I feel like she's she's pretty strong
mm.
there. So I don't worry as much about her that aspect, but it's just preparing, making sure like she's ready to go. Like I think about like, we've been driving for travel ball to like Indianapolis and these big cities. And I'm like, when was the first time I like drove on like a 3-lane interstate, like I-65?
Right.
Like that worries. I'm like, when do I let her do that? Like that's gonna be one of those things I'll be like, good luck. Like I'm not riding in the car with you when that
Well,
happens.
so when you're talking like this, I keep thinking about, I don't know that I remember my parents ever being like, okay, well, this is how you do laundry. I remember my mom only saying, sort out your whites and your darks and me, like I guess mediums or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Um, and I still today that don't do that very well. Like my whites are dingy.
I feel
But
like mine are too. Yeah.
but like I don't remember, like you said, like I think when I went to college was the first time, or on vacation with a friend when I had my license and
Mm-hmm.
we would go like on spring break. I drove for the first time. Like I remember driving to Panama and
Oh my
I,
gosh, I
I,
can't
I
imagine.
mean, my mom, it was not like I was in the car with my mom,
Yeah,
or my
yeah,
dad. Um, and that was before GPS.
yeah. MapQuest.
Yeah.
Trying to read a paper while you're driving. How
Yes.
dangerous was
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Oh, anyways.
So I don't even know, like we're trying to take a list because I'm very similar to you of like, okay, have I taught them this? Have I done this? Have I done that? But then at the end of the day, whenever I'm like, you know what? It's gonna be fine. They have Chat GPT.
Right. I mean, just Google it. Like I Google everything every
Yeah.
day. I'm like, I'm 44 years old. I'm still Googling stuff. I'm like, what, how do you
Yeah.
do that? Or where does that
Mhm.
come? So, I mean, yeah, they have way more resources than we ever did. So I don't really know why I'm that worried, but it's just, there's just those little things and it's like, you don't want to see them fail, but they're
Right.
going to have to.
They're gonna have
They're
to.
going to have to. But I don't want like that. That like I don't want them to,
Mm.
but they're gonna have to.
But and what I think I try to look at this, even in my own, like even now, but whenever my kids and I look at it like a setback, it's setting them up to build resilience. Like in all of
Mhm.
my experiences in life that was a hardship or, was what would be, deem a failure in a sense, that's really when my growth happens. And I actually would like, as a parent, what I've started to learn, like, I would rather them fail in front of me while they're living in my own house so that I have the opportunity to work with them through that
Right.
versus them failing for the first time outside. So
Mhm.
that's what's kind of taught me to like, okay, I'm not going to step back. Like, I'll give you an example. Landon, he has Spanish. He does not like Spanish.
Ugh.
But and I'm like, how are your grades? Like, I don't check in on grades. I don't check in on assignments or whatever. And if they message, like talking points or
Mhm.
whatever, and they say, so and so is missing this assignment. Well, it's never Lane. It's always Langdon. And he like, I'll submit it. I'm like, all right, I'm not babysitting you.
Yeah.
You're gonna submit it, and he always does, and it's always fine. But he's calculating what's the lowest grade I have to make
I could
to
still
be able to still
pass.
pass this class. Whereas that's the isn't it funny how you
Mhm.
parent the exact same
Yeah.
and kids are polar
Opposite.
opposites?
Yeah.
Um, but I need him, if he fails, like he already knows the natural consequences that are
Yeah.
going to happen to
Right.
that. But I'm trying, it's so hard for
Mhm.
me not to be like, nope, you're not going to get on PlayStation until you do your homework or until I see it. But like,
Yeah.
it's going to have to be to sit. I mean,
Yeah.
he's almost 16 years old.
Yeah.
He's going to have to
They
learn
have
how
to
to.
figure out how to do time management and prioritize and all that stuff. And that's why like Riley is pretty good at that stuff
Mm,
and I don't really have to. So Jax is like a whole nother can. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna have to be, but I am gonna have to be different. I think. I don't know,
Mm,
because I don't know. Like, I'm like, well, sometimes I have to think. I don't even think I really had to teach her that. Like, I think she
just
just naturally
naturally
did it,
came.
and that was another thing. I was like, they they pick up on so much of our actions and
Mm,
how we react to things and what we do about situations. I mean, we've tried to like really be like not that I don't want them to see that things aren't hard, and but like not have this horrible reaction, which Neil and I usually don't. I mean, we're pretty level headed and
mm,
pretty like we don't just lose it on when something bad
right,
happens or whatever. So but I feel like they see that more than us just saying, okay, this is how you need to handle this, or this is, and I
right,
really try to talk them through, like, especially Riley right now, like, I really try to talk her through like things like, okay, well, this happened, so now I need to do this, or I'm going to have to decide that, I really try to talk her through some of those like adult things.
right.
Or if she questions something about, well, why did that person do that, or
Mhm.
so I we do try to like, okay,
Instill and
yes, because I feel like there's lots of times where like I didn't know things until
mm,
later, one of those
mhm.
like I was this many years old till I knew da da da, so I
Right,
try to
right.
like tell them things like that I think, like whether it's things about driving or whatever. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think one of the things that I'm struggling with now, and you brought up you and Neil and like the conversations that you all have in front of them and things like that, but is, I'm trying to think about how my boys, I'm raising 2 boys, how
Hmm.
my boys treat their girlfriends or
Hmm.
their future wives, like how they treat women matter and how they talk about women and girls matter.
Yes.
And so I it's funny because, when it was not too long ago and Lena was dating this girl and he was being very sarcastic. Like she was here and it was like at dinner and he was being like very sarcastic and like poking fun
Hmm.
of her and it was like in a playful way,
Right.
right? But I can tell that she was a little like bothered and embarrassed because it
Yeah,
was
it was
like
in
in
front
front of
of, yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
And so like afterwards, and we took her home and we were talking, I was like, I don't think that she liked that. And he was like, well, I mean, dad pokes fun. Like, that's just what you do. Dad pokes fun of you all the time. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, but you got to understand, like, there's history and years
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
like, she doesn't know sometimes maybe if you're
Right.
joking or
And when you're
not.
dating and you're in front of their parents and
Yeah.
family, like, yeah.
So it's just like things like that. Like I want to talk out loud. Like what were you thinking or why? But also, I think it's hard too, especially with Lane. That's very determined little boy. I wouldn't. What he does is not how I would do it,
Hmm.
and it's really hard for me to let go and let him make those decisions, even though it's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's just not how I would want him to do it
Hmm.
or how I would want him to act. So I'm trying to pick and choose the battles in which
Yeah.
I don't want to harp on everything because I want their personality to come naturally and
Yeah.
but it really, especially how we treat people, it really does matter to me. Obviously, that's like my life. And so I probably instill like overkill in reference to that. Um, but yeah, just knowing when to step in, when to step back,
Yep.
and Lord help me, I'm praying for their future wives. That's all I keep thinking is I'm praying for their future wives.
Oh, yes, lots of prayers for future spouses,
Mm,
and yeah, but, you know, eh, I see I see moms, and definitely not saying we are experts, but I feel like you get some clarity when you hit your 40s. There's some
mm,
perks
mm,
to this far in life and having done something. I mean, I haven't done teenagers for
mm,
raising teenagers for very long, but you feel like you've you've experienced enough things, but I see moms who are trying so hard to hold on
Mm,
to their kids that I'm like, like that's great,
right,
but you are making them so dependent on you,
right.
and it's going to be so hard when they do finally have
Mm,
to leave.
mhm.
And so I just want to be careful, like that I don't make them so dependent on me. I want them to I want them to want to come back home and spend time with
Right,
us and want
right.
to be with us, go on vacations with us and stuff, but I don't want them to have to come to
Mm,
us,
right, right, right.
because I eventually do want to enjoy being an empty nester
Mhm.
eventually, and
I'm praying that I get to be one.
you make someone live in your basement. So you may have to move and not have a house with a
Yeah,
basement.
yeah, yeah. It's a running joke. Well, so I'm gonna kind of flip it, and we didn't talk about this. But I want to be, we're being real, so I want to be very transparent. There was one thing that I recently, being in teenager, mom mode, that I realize I'm failing at. So I'm gonna be pretty transparent.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is because I'm raising boy mom or like raising boys, but I have found like anything that had bothered me about, like if I was mad at Justin, their dad, or whatever, like we're having a tiff or whatever that might be, like I will use that as an example to my boys to be like, you would don't ever do like sometimes as a joke, like a
Yeah.
passive aggressive
Right.
kind of joke. But then I realized like I am not honoring like the great things that he like as much as I was saying like, make sure y'all unload the dishwasher or whatever it is,
Yeah.
like as
Yeah.
a, kind of a passive aggressive comment, I realized that I'm setting them and planting seeds that is not necessarily healthy. And that wasn't fair because I was not honoring. And I realized this about, like it wasn't even, I mean, Justin could really care less. But I realized that's what I was doing. And so I didn't want them to think that I only was pulling out. There's a lot of traits I want them to be just like their
Mhm.
dad.
Yeah.
Um, and so, it was kind of a wake up call probably in the last several months, just because it's been very top of mind as, like, because they're running out of time and I'm trying to
Yeah.
raise these men. And it's just funny because even just, I told Justin, I was like, hey, I had a conversation with Landon because the other day we were driving, we were talking. The best time to talk to your kids is in the car
Mhm. Yep.
because then
Trapped.
they're trapped and they can't get out,
Yeah.
and it's not awkward because they don't have to look at you and
Yeah.
whatever. And so we have our best conversations in the car. And so Landon, I was telling him, like I realize that I'm doing this a lot, and these are some of the qualities I want you to have that your
Yeah.
dad carries. And
Yeah.
so yeah, just being able to be, I think vulnerability with your kids is
Mhm.
really, really important. Being a special needs sibling, that was one of the things that I always saw my mom be strong. And I never knew that, like, I always wanted not to see her break. I did not want to see her break.
Right.
But the things that I struggled with, that, like, of my brother, and the things that, like, I thought, well, am I stupid for feeling this way? Like, this makes me, like, my heart hurt or whatever.
Mhm.
And it never bothered her. Like, I never saw her cry or anything. And so I just, not that like, so I think we tend to parent from the things that we are trying to change about our parenting, like
Mhm.
how we were parented.
Yeah.
Does that
Right.
make sense? And
Yes.
so,
Yes.
but now I'm like, I wonder now what my kids, like, what are they going to say to their therapist one day about me, right? Or two, like, what will they parent different? Because I am very vulnerable and
Mhm.
transparent with them. So, like, from out of the lack of vulnerability that my mom had, because I don't want them to think that I'm always a strong person, that like the strongest person, it can,
Right.
you can break,
Right.
and how you carry that matters.
Mhm.
So, anyways, I'm rambling at this point, but like, I feel
No,
like
I
I
get
wanted
it.
to be, I'm saying like, here's what I feel like we're doing well, but I I'm trying to be very honest because I think we don't reflect enough of like how can we be a better mom, or how,
Right.
not on for ourselves, but like
Yeah.
even in our conversations
Yeah.
too as well.
You're right.
So
Right. And having those conversations with other women who are going through that
going,
same stage of life. But
yeah,
no, I know exactly what you're talking about because I've thought about, and these are kind of funny things, but I've thought about what my kid thought. Okay, when my kids are adults and make their own decisions to go off to college, whatever, I was like, the first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna buy junk food all the time. They're gonna have junk food all the time. They're probably gonna go off the deep end, and they're probably gonna eat out all the time because that is two things we don't really do. We don't eat out very much,
mm,
and we don't have a lot of. My kids are always like, we have nothing to eat in the house, but that's
it's
like one of those things. I thought when you go and you're going to do the total opposite
right.
of what you did or didn't do as a kid.
Hmm.
So that's funny because I really thought the exact same thing. I thought, man, they are gonna go off, or you know, we try to instill in them to eat good and exercise to be healthy. Not,
Mm,
I try not to talk about weight or anything in
right.
front. I was very conscious with Riley as a young girl, like
Mm,
never to talk about my weight or how I felt or that I
mm,
was dieting. It was always about I want to be healthy, I want to be strong, and so I've always tried not to. I did not want her to have like body image issues because you know I'm the
right.
one that did it. So and because my mom didn't really do that either, but that is so funny. Is I thought recently about, man, as soon as they get out of the house, they're gonna go buy all the junk food from the store, and they're gonna have junk food all the time. So
And I
that's
don't
funny.
know. I think I've always wondered, and now that Langdon's older, Lane too, we've had a couple conversations. I don't know if you've ever done this, but like I I've always wondered when they were younger how much of the decisions I made and the sacrifices they had to make as a kid, like because they were young whenever we brought in, we brought in an adult with autism to live with us and he lived
Hmm.
with us for 8 years, and they had to make a lot of sacrifices as a kid, growing like Lane was 3,
Yeah.
and so, and then, I left teaching career. I mean,
Hmm.
I had a nursery in puzzle pieces for Lane. Like Lane grew up at puzzle pieces,
Yeah.
as a baby. And so like, when you're making those decisions, you're thinking that you're failing, or I thought that I was failing as a mom in those moments. Like this is going to impact them in
Hmm.
such a negative way, or if I had to work late, or we have residential homes, so like if there was emergency I would have to like leave and go and do. And so in those very fragile years, I thought when they get older they're going to resent me for these things, or they're going to remember that in a negative way, like mom wasn't here for X, Y, and Z, or mom missed this. But I don't recall anything I've really ever missed,
Yeah.
but it was like in my head.
Yeah.
And so now that they're older, I'm having those conversations. And this is, Lane was like, I just wish you'd just stop doing all the things. Like you're just doing all the things. Of like, I don't know that I can stop. And he was like, not because it impacts me, just because it's just annoying. So I don't think they're
Oh
going
my
to be
gosh.
impacted in the way, but
Right.
like when they're so young and you're like, I was a breastfeeding mom. And so like, I was like, they're going to be good eaters. So they're going to be excellent. Like I'm going to do all the, by the
Ugh.
book. And we're harp on ourselves to be exactly what the books tell you to be.
Mhm.
But then when they get older, you realize like some of those things probably didn't really matter all that
No, they don't
much.
remember.
Yeah.
They don't remember if, I what their first birthday party was like, or that's, that mom guilt of, I've said that before, of not being this party planner mom and crafty
Mm,
mom and like, and I was talking to, you all recently went on a cruise, and
mhm.
I was talking to my kids about, I was like, gosh, y'all probably think we're like the worst parents because we hardly ever take you all on trips. And they were like, we don't care. We want to be home. Like, so I don't know. I'll either completely raise homebodies who will, or they'll take every vacation they can when they get older. I don't know. But so I think sometimes we put that pressure on ourselves that we're not doing a good job or something did impact them in a negative way, and like they could care less,
Right.
like we worry about stuff and they're still kids,
Mhm.
like I think about like when I was a kid, I wouldn't have cared,
Mm.
like I wouldn't, I remember doing things or going play. Like my parents worked a lot when I was little, and they had to pay a babysitter, and I literally, but I cherished those times that I had with her. Like
Right.
she helped raise me. I mean, I would be there at 6 a.m. in the morning and sometimes not leave till 6 p.m. at night. And I'm sure my parents probably felt the guilt. I bet my mom
Mhm.
did because my mom worked overtime. Like they worked their butts off. And then as I got older, then I was home by myself a lot.
Mm.
I was those latchkey kids, getting off
Right.
the bus by myself, and they're not home till 5 or 6 o'clock. And but I don't look back on that and be like, felt I don't feel cheated or
Mm.
anything like that. I mean, I do
It
remember
was
them
just
working a lot,
right,
but
right.
I was either with the babysitter that I loved so much, or I was with my grandparents. So I never felt like they were, what's that Cats in the Cradle song or whatever?
Right.
I
Well, and
never
I think
felt that.
and just being around your parents too, and I think this is important, you know, although I know that every kid is different, right? And every personality and all of those things, I think that if you are one that would be working or whatever, there's still a lot of intentionality that comes. It can't be all of that and then you being absent, like being absent afterwards either. So like
Yeah.
I think because there was things I had to sacrifice and do to grind and initially, there was things that I worked double time to make sure that like I read to them at night. Like
Mhm.
there were
Yeah.
things that I wouldn't sacrifice or I
Right.
was more intentional about. And so like to show them the love. So like it it you can't be completely pulled back. Like I
Right.
don't want to like say like, oh, you don't have to be part of your kids' lives at all,
Right.
but there's a balance. But I think some things that we worry about as a parent or a mom, especially now that my kids are older and they don't need me as much, like I'm not missing doing some of those things, but I'm also they're they don't look at they don't look at those things as a monumental moment in their life that shaped
No.
them in a different way.
No. They're gonna remember the bedtime stories,
Yeah.
and that's the things that they're gonna remember. And so I guess one of my biggest things that I worry about is, am I preparing them to um have a life where they walk with Jesus?
Mm,
We miss a lot of church for travel
mm,
sports and those kind of things. And so we try to make it a huge priority, though. Like if we are in town, like we are going to church. Um but like Riley, I feel like she really grew up in church,
mm,
and then COVID hit and it changed a lot of things. And
right.
like Jax was at that pivotal age, and we couldn't go to church, and then we switched churches and he wasn't happy about that. And, gosh, you go, am I preparing them to walk with, have a relationship with Jesus? I
Mm,
mean, both of my kids have been baptized and they proclaim Jesus
mm,
as their Lord and Savior, but
mm,
am I preparing them to have a true relationship with him without our guidance?
mm,
Because
mm,
Neil's really good about, hey, did you read your Bible? Did we'll get them, and he'll buy them books, like Bible study books and
mm,
things like that for them. He's really really good about that. Are they going to do that stuff when we're not there? But I will say this. So I recently celebrated my 44th birthday,
whoop, whoop.
and it's a big at our house. Like whoever's birthday is the next day, like I know I'm not a crafty mom, but I will like decorate the kitchen, and we have our chocolate roll. We have our
Uh-huh.
traditions, and we set out like the presents and stuff. So and we put streamers on their bedroom door. Whoever, well, I mean, I do that stuff. I mean, Neil, that's not like his like a man thing, but Riley does that stuff for me.
Oh.
So it's super sweet. And so, anyways, I woke up on my birthday, and she put streamers up and decorated, um and then she'd gotten some flowers and they'd got me a couple little things. And then there was a note, a letter. Oh, I thought it was a card. It was in an envelope. And so we're all together and Jax is like, "Oh, this is for me." And it was a handwritten.
Oh, now you're gonna get me. I'm gonna cry.
It was a handwritten two front and back
Wow.
letter about just everything. But
Mm,
the thing he kept saying in the letter was he saw basically saw how much I trusted Jesus and my
mm,
relationship, and
mm,
how when things were rough, how I would, yeah, yeah.
mm,
So when you think maybe you're not doing a great job, and I'm not saying I'm doing
mm,
this fantastic job, but I would never have imagined him.
mm,
He's very sweet. I'm not saying
mm,
that he's
mm,
not, but he took the time to write this letter. I'm talking not even single spaced, front and back of
mm.
a note. And many, like he mentioned it, and I was like, okay,
It matters
it
how
does
you're
matter.
showing up and what you're
It
doing.
Our actions and how we're
Mhm,
handling things,
mm,
and it's not me sitting there telling him read your Bible, or
mhm,
what'd you learn in church. It's what we do
mm.
and how we react to things and how we show them love. So
Always call that. So,
there's that.
it's something I worry about all the time. Actually, is am I instilling the right faith in them, and how much do I influence what that looks like? But I grew up in a very Southern Baptist church.
Same.
And so I think that's been hard because growing up in a very strong faith driven family, that every Sunday you go to church, we all went out as a family. We went to my grandparents' house. Like, I grew up with my cousins. It was always around church, which is great. And then
Mhm.
I went to college. And so, like, my family instilled everything in me. And then I went to college, and I didn't wake up and go to church on Sunday. Honestly, I was coaching, and I would drive back and I would coach softball and all the things, and so it never felt factored into my life. But one of the things that circled back for me is whenever I got married, I knew that, like, it had to. So like it came back because of
Mhm.
the foundation that was instilled. So
Right.
I now I talk to my kids and I say this out loud a lot of times. I call it functional faith,
Mhm.
of just, so maybe we don't go to church every Sunday, or maybe they're not seeing me read the Bible, or instilling that within them. But like, for example, we just on spring break went on a cruise. And before we started, I was like, all right, we got in the car. I was like, because I knew like, I know when I pray and I talk to God,
Mhm.
that I don't always let them know I'm praying and talking to God. And so I feel like it's important for
Mhm.
us to do that out loud so they can see how we talk, and how that faith looks like. And so we did that, like before big things, or when I think about, oh, I'm about to say my own prayer
Mhm.
and my kids or my husband's around, I try to do that now out loud
Mhm.
to instill that functional faith of, like, these are the relationships. It's like, this is how you
Right.
carry over what,
Right.
those impactful lessons. And so it was, so we made it home. I almost had a wreck.
Oh, jeez.
We won't go there.
Oh, gosh.
But I almost had a wreck, and Lane said, "Thank God we said that prayer. He just was watching over
Oh,
us." So
see?
I'm like, "Yep,
Yep.
yep." So
Yeah.
sometimes it is like, um, I think we worry probably more than what we should as a parent.
Mm.
And sometimes our actions of just being open and honest, and living the way that we want them to live, and we show them how to live,
Mhm.
I think that is just as impactful of making sure we're teaching them those moments. But like you're saying, is modeling for them what
Right.
that looks like.
Right.
But man, parenting's hard.
It is. So I wrote down a few things though, that just for those of you who maybe you're not to this stage yet,
Oh, yes.
um, maybe not even a parent at all yet. I
Hmm.
don't know. But a few things that I have learned, just with my own kids, that I just it just may be something to keep in mind.
Okay. I can't wait to hear.
So one thing I've learned is it has to be their idea.
Mm.
It has to be their idea. I cannot suggest things or push things on them.
Okay.
We learned,
Yes.
me and you've learned this
Uh-huh.
lesson with our
Uh-huh.
two oldest. We're not going to go there, but
Won't go there.
um, and they are watching me how I handle situations
Mhm.
and how I handle things going on. Um, I am doing better than I realize. You're doing
Yes.
better than you realize. You're doing better than you realize. We're all going to say that to each other. We're all doing better than we realize.
Absolutely.
Um, it's better to give them options. That applies in the classroom too. Um, they're usually going to make the right choice, but
Mm.
like give them options of, okay, well, you can do this, or you can. It's like you were talking about with the homework. Like he has the option to go play PlayStation and
Right.
not do his homework.
Yeah. The
Most of
choice
the
is
time,
yours.
they're going to make the right decision.
Mm.
Um, and they have to fail to learn. They have to fail to learn.
Mm. I like it. I like it.
Just some things I've learned. That's
Well, I don't have that long of a
well,
list, and
that's
I don't have any things that I've learned, but I
yes, you
but I
do.
will say this is the last like little impact because we've talked about this, and it brings me back to our first episode. When remember when we were talking in our first episode about change and alignment, and like how the season of life, it's not that we want to like blow up our life, but like there has to be adjustments and changes. Well, as we go into this phase of raising teenagers that they don't, that we think they don't need us anymore, I'm really trying to reshape that to say, like, it's not that they don't need us, they just need us differently.
Yep,
And that
that's
those
good. Yeah.
seasons are going to change, and we will have to adjust as a parent to know that it's not that I think our kids will, I'm 41 years old. And literally, I was doing landscaping and I called my mom 15 times because I
Mhm.
still need my mom to like
Yeah.
tell me how to do things.
Yes. Yes.
Because
Yes.
you don't need Google when you have Sharon Borman.
That's right. That is right. That is right.
But I just need her differently.
Right.
And I want to know, I want as a mom to be able to grow with them in a way that doesn't be like, you don't need me anymore. Like my job is done.
Right.
But like, how can I adjust and change and realize that they just need me differently and
Mhm.
be okay with that and accepting of that, and not take, when they don't want to call me or they don't want to text me, or they text me, K, and I sent them a whole big long thing.
Yeah.
K,
Okay.
love you. K, what?
What? No.
They just need me differently.
Right.
They just need me
That is
differently.
true. That is
And I'm
true.
going to embrace that.
Yes. Yes. Well, it, we laugh and we're trying to navigate this phase of life, our own phase of life, and then you're
Mm.
trying to navigate raising children. My cousin, she is early 40s, barely 40, maybe not even quite 40 yet, close to 40. And she has three under five.
Oh. Mm.
So, and
Mm.
she is starting perimenopause.
Whew.
And
Mm.
so
We're praying for her.
we are, Sheena, we are praying for you, but we are all like at this stage, we may all be indifferent. And
Mm.
I have friends who
Mm.
had whether it was or a
Right.
late, a baby later. And so
Mm.
you may still be in the trenches of motherhood when you think of
Mm.
motherhood and those little kids and those. So thoughts and prayers for everybody, for everybody. But and you know how I love my quotes
Oh,
too.
I
So I
love a
found this
quote.
quote.
Yes, leave us with a quote.
So I read this somewhere and it didn't reference anybody who said it. So I don't know if you said this. This is a lovely quote. I don't know. Watching your kids grow up is like reading a book you love. You are stuck between wanting to see how it ends and not wanting it to end.
Oh, if
That
that is not the
that is
truth.
so true. I do that with books a lot. Like I don't want this to be over, but I want to know. Like I'm so sad
Yeah.
when it's over because like you grieve. I was like, that is the honest to goodness truth.
Mm,
I mean,
mm.
that one hit.
That one
That one
hit,
hit.
because I always say, like, I wish I just have like a little mirror ball,
Uh,
like I could just shake it and see what it looks like for them in the future,
yes.
so I can realize what I need to adjust right now.
Right. I know, right? What do we need to do? What do we need to make sure that they're prepared for? And I mean, I think about like my parents watching. I can't imagine as a parent watching, your child go through, like, my
Mm,
parents watched me lose a child,
mm, mm.
watched me go through cancer. Like, I mean, when we were in high school, nobody, you don't think about those
No.
kind of things happening.
Right,
You
right.
don't think about those kind of things. And as
Yeah.
as a parent, you don't want to think about those kind of things, but
Mm.
you know they're going to face
Some
something.
right.
So, yeah, we try
Well,
not to
and I
think
think
about
it
it,
goes
but
back to what you originally said initially is that, we can do a lot of parenting things wrong, but what we can do right is instill a relationship with God and know that
mhm.
they can trust that along no matter what hardships they have or no matter what comes in their journey. So I feel like that is when everything else is going to
That's
hit the
their
fan.
that's their that's
Don't
their
let that,
foothold. Yeah, that's their
yeah,
foothold. So, yeah.
it's going to be a journey
Yes.
and we're not done.
No, we're not done.
So, do you happen to know, before we leave this episode, because we kind of like to give nuggets, you're good about this, I am not. What would be our next episode? Why do they need to come back? What are we talking about?
Okay, so we being this age, we are so unique in the eras and the periods of time that we have
Oh,
experienced, and so
mm-hmm,
much has changed since when we were kids to now. I mean, we have lived in the era of no cell phones, no internet.
mm-hmm.
Like, everybody plays outside, drinking out of the water hose, squatting in the backyard. It's because you don't want to go in and go to the bathroom. To now,
A robot's going to serve us
uh,
a meal
yeah,
at the restaurant.
exactly. So we're going to talk about how we survived the 90s,
Oh,
and now that we're parents. And so
mm.
yeah, so it's all about, we survived the 90s and now we're parents. Like,
Have you ever,
how's that work?
and this is probably going to be for the next episode, but I'm going to plant the seed here, but as a question, and maybe like if you're listening to this, like shoot us like something on social media that we can maybe mention that in future episodes too. But you know we're at the age and what we experienced in the 90s, like we went from a cassette tape,
Hmm.
right, a cassette tape to a DVD, right? You burn DVDs after
CDs.
CDs. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, CDs. And then we went from an iPod, like you had to have an iPod for like iTunes on the
Hmm.
iPod.
Hmm.
So then your music was stored there.
Hmm.
And then now we're in Spotify era,
Yeah.
Apple Music.
I'll go
Like,
back even farther. Is I even remember a little bit of 8 tracks.
oh,
I mean, that was
yeah,
on records.
yeah.
Like, I mean, that wasn't a big thing then, but I remember us still having though the 8 tracks and recorers.
So I wonder, like, our kids don't know that. Like, all of our
No,
kids know is
don't even know what a
Spotify.
CD
I
is,
know.
which is
I
nuts.
know,
That
right?
hasn't been that long ago.
Listen, I could burn some good
Oh,
mixes.
oh,
Like when
yeah.
Landon says like he has like this good Spotify playlist, I'm like, this would
Oh,
make for a great CD.
yep.
But
Burnt CDs,
yeah.
baby.
But what I was gonna say is I wonder what our kids like, they're in Spotify. Like what can it, I mean, what else could it be?
Where do we go from here?
Like I don't
Yeah,
know.
like, I don't feel like our kids in their lifetime are going to experience a whole lot
Like
of
a shift like
a
we did.
change as big as we have.
That's what makes us badass.
Totally.
Really? We're
I
resilient.
mean, yeah, we've we've
We've been through a
we
lot.
have survived without
Hmm.
internet, without a
Hmm.
computer.
Do you remember the Running Man? Okay, we're gonna get into this in the next step.
Yeah,
The
that,
Running Man.
uh,
I'll
that
never. Okay, one more thing. So I'll never forget. I was a freshman in college, and my then, and I still hang out with her now, but her name was Amy, and she comes running down the hallway, and she was like, have y'all created a Facebook profile? And I'm like, what's Facebook? And she was like, well, like you can say like connected with like your family and your friends and like post pictures. Like, why would you want to do that?
I know. Well, what about MySpace?
Oh, I didn't do
See,
MySpace.
I think I made one, but I was like really late to the game because that was so fresh. Like, and it was like, what is that?
Yeah, I can't wait for this episode. I
Oh,
think
it's going to be fun.
we're going to talk a lot of 90s growing up and then now
Yes.
what our kids, what that could look
Yes.
like. So,
Definitely.
well, if you liked this episode, we ask you to go on, maybe make a review, make a comment,
Yes.
share it
Yeah.
with a friend.
We want some interaction and,
Yes.
we try to throw some questions out there and we want to
Yeah.
hear everybody's experiences. So,
Yeah. Build a community with us.
yes, definitely.
So until next time,
All right.
bye guys.
Bye.
All right, that's it for today's meeting of the Margarita Book Club.
Thanks for sitting with us and spilling the real for a little while.
If today's conversation sounded like a lot of your own thoughts, you're definitely not alone.
Follow us on social media at Spill the Real.
And come back next week for another round of Real Talk. Same book club, no reading required.